Welcome to the newest addition to the Leonards Lee Gardens, which is a vineyard. So this vineyard was planted about 3 weeks ago, together with some more vines at our sister property just down the road at Mannings Heath. So Mannings Heath together with this vineyard will make up 35 acres, about 65,000 vines, with the first crop due in 2020. So it's also at Mannings Heath where we'll soon be starting with the construction of the winery as well. So 2020 would be the first crop, looking at 2023 for potentially the first product to be released. Both vineyards together is only plantings of Chardonnay, Pinot Meunier and Pinot Noir. So we're only focusing on the champagne grape varietals and only focusing on the production of sparkling wines. So the winery's got a capacity to produce 75,000 bottles a year, and more recently, obviously, as we've told you, there's also some Pinotage being planted as well. So it was not long ago there by that fence that myself and Duncan McNeil, who's our viticultural consultant and our local vineyard manager, were looking at this piece of land, and we were all standing over the fence speculating about the pros and cons of not only this field but about planting vineyards in the UK, and what you need and what is in its favor and what is against it, and all the challenges they mentioned, the difficulties, the struggles that there is in growing vines in the UK. With everything they mentioned, I was thinking, but hang on, Pinotage might be the answer to that problem, and the next problem, Pinotage might be the answer, Pinotage might be the answer. So I told them about this grape and its attributes and how it behaves in the vineyard and its growing patterns, and they went, but why haven't we thought about this? So that same day we started making phone calls all over the show, and we've managed to get a few Pinotage vines in a nursery in Switzerland. So we spoke to the nursery guy that side. It happened to be clone 48, which is exactly the same clone that I worked with back in South Africa. So I believe that must be a good sign. So we booked the vines, and it's about 14 months later, and here they are, planted, the UK's first Pinotage. On the grape itself and the history, I don't know, Gerard, do you mind telling us about what your great-grandfather was up to and what his thinking was behind the grape?
Well, my great-grandfather was up to a lot in his life. But it's, my DNA is the biggest impact of who I am and the passions that drives me in my life journey. My great-grandfather, Abraham Isaac Perrault, or Prof. Perrault, as he's known in the wine industry in South Africa, was a South African chemist who excels in maths and in physics, and they used these talents to venture into viticulture. And his passions for viticulture he passed on through generations, and I was part of that DNA direction. He introduced about 177 grape varieties to South Africa, but it was his work in 1925 when he did the crossing between the Pinot Noir and the Senso, or as it's known in South Africa, Hermitage, where he created the Pinotage grape. Now Perrault's goal was to create a wine that was delicious as Pinot Noir, but would grow as well as Senso, and that's what I'm thinking where this will be a great part of it, because Senso is a grape that can uphold in harsh conditions, of growing conditions, and where else to go than the UK to go and try it out. So you would get, it's very common to find purple fruits and black fruits in Pinotage, but occasionally you'll get those amazing red flavors, raspberry, sort of your red licorice, and even red bell pepper. And I think over here we'll probably see the more Pinot Noir style Pinotage coming from the Pinotage vines here. Pinotage, like most celebrities, has also got their ups and downs. and it's very closely related to the history of South Africa's ups and downs. But Pinotage is fast becoming the grape celebrity that most people want to meet. So today all Cape blends, from your deep coloured fruity wines to your easy drinking quiffing wines, rosés, even port style wines or sparkling wines, all need to be have a 30 to 70% component of Pinotage component in it. So for me, basically from 4 seedlings in Perrell's back garden to the UK's first planting, this grape says what it's all about, the beauty of life in its true form. Just like its developer, it has got a sense of humour, it's loving and giving. So from my teen years, where I was doing a bit of blind tasting with my cousins, to where I'm now in the UK, delivering tastings to the UK public, it is Abraham Isaac Perrell that not just give me my name, but give me my life and passion and my purpose to introduce this wonderful grape, my Pinotage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so just to so just to bring it back to this vineyard again, and as I said, as we were talking about the pros and cons about growing grapes, some of the challenges that I'm sure most of you are aware of is getting grapes to fully ripen around here and to accumulate enough sugar to get to the right alcohol levels. If you leave it too long, cold sets in, disease sets in, rot comes in, so the whole thing goes the wrong direction. That was one part of it. Pinotage is known for it accumulates sugar really, really fast, and it's got a short growing season. So that was kind of the one answer that we were looking for, is that Pinotage, it gets the sugar quickly, it's got a short growing season, and why that is important, it would typically, the bud burst would be way after something like Chardonnay. So that eliminates a large part of the frost risk window that you're facing. So it's later in bud burst, so hopefully you're out of most of the frost window. Then it's got a quick short growing season. It's the earliest grape varietal by a long way to be picked in South Africa, so much earlier than Merlot, Chardonnays, Syrahs. So that helps with high sugars. It's got a thick skin, so it's not susceptible to rot or disease as Pinot Noir, its parent, for instance. And then because of the black color of the berry, it's pitch black in color, the temperature within a Pinotage berry would be typically 6 to 10 degrees higher than the ambient temperature around that. And that heat that it almost sucks in helps with tannin and color development. So that is also, should you be looking at producing a red wine out of it, that will also be in favor. And then also it's got a moderate growth, the canopy. So one of the challenges around here is high vigor. Pinotage is not a vigorous grower, so hopefully that would manage that as well. So all those things that were potential challenges or obstacles, Pinotage had an answer to most of that. If it's going to apply to this part of the world, let's see. But time will tell. And then as Gerard also touched on, Pinotage is quite versatile in that it's obviously best known for red wines, but it's also very good for making fortified wines, which won't happen around here, don't worry. Rosé wines, but then also it's very commonly used in South Africa as a base wine for sparkling wine production. Again, Pinot Noir being one of its parents. It's got beautiful strawberry, raspberry, cherry fruit, so commonly used in rosé style sparkling wines as well. So what's our plan over here? Again, time will tell. Would it go all the way to make a red wine, or if not, the backup plan is it will go into our base wine program, which would hopefully give our bubblies a bit of a South African twist or some spice to it. So I mentioned its versatility, hence the reason why it's also planted in many countries across the world. To mention a few, Brazil, Germany, Switzerland, Australia, New Zealand, the US, in 5 states in the US, and there's a couple more. Israel's planting quite a lot of it, and more recently the UK as well, and quite well suited, and you'll know from those countries that I mentioned, some of them are warm climate, but also the likes of Switzerland, Germany, New Zealand, cool climate regions as well. So the New Zealanders specifically are jumping onto the bandwagon of Pinotage quite a bit, and that is proper cool climate because it works so well in their environment. So it's also against that background that we thought, why not in the UK? So we'll see what happens. Okay.